And today I want to talk about a number of things. And I will get into those. And hey, Paul, I didn't even see you in the room. How are you? My dad is, well, he's coming along. I mean, he's coming along. What can I say? But I just appreciate all of you being here and sharing the journey with me. So here we go. This was coming back from off of an awesome weekend. Awesome in the sense that I didn't do a doggone thing that was exciting. And so awesome in the sense that it was just kind of, nondescript, mellow kind of thing, and so I, hung out with my dad like normal, and I just did the normal stuff that I normally do. But for me, I like to differentiate my weekends from my week by doing something exciting and new. But this past weekend, yesterday, I spoke at the church, and so that was absolutely wonderful. And so after doing that, preparing for that, it was kind of like yesterday was like this waiting to exhale day. So it was all great, and I'm grateful and happy in all things. And so because I thought here's a funny thing about me. Yesterday's talk was so awesome. People ask me, so how did you do? How did it go? And I'm always telling them, oh my God, I was so good. And everybody kind of laughs at that, but here's the thing, is like, if it's only one of us here, if it was good for me, it had to be good for you. So I tell people I'm like a guy in that. It's like it was good for me. And so if it was so awesome for me, then it's awesome for everybody else, whether or not you know it or not. And so it was a great time. So um so today I wanted to come in and talk about, I wasn't going to talk about what I talked about yesterday, because I want to be able to play that tape for you. Well, I'm so glad. Thank you. I wanted to be able to play that tape for you in the future, and so rather than talk about what I talked about, I opened up my Course in Miracles book while I was at the hospital, and while I was opening it up, I a few ideas triggered my mind. And so then when they triggered my mind and my thinking, I thought, let me bring it to the room and talk to you guys here in the room, and to whoever may be watching over Ustream or on my website or wherever it is that you may be watching. But to talk about some ideas. And as I lit upon that idea, now that I'm home, I had to turn around and see where my Joseph Campbell stuff is, because I might need to open up a book there and talk out of there a little bit. So before I get started, though, let me do my introduction to the Course in Miracles, because I just love, love, love. I mean, just, I don't even know what that is about me that I love. Oh, my sound is going in and out. I wonder why. I've got on a headset and I'm moving around a little bit, but haven't moved away from the computer. So it might just be my internet connection, because it's been really slow lately. So please, if I'd hate to like have anything happen and lose you. So and since I have a headset on, I know that the mic is following my head wherever it goes, and I need to get another microphone, because I don't necessarily like that this smushes in my hair and all that stuff. So anyway, the introduction of A Course in Miracles. It goes like this: is found right in the front of your book, nestled behind the table of contents, right in front of the text, a simple paragraph right there on the page, and it goes like this. It says, this is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish a curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The aim of the course is not to teach the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to your awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all encompassing can have no opposites. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. And so you guys can say this with me. Nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Ooh, isn't that fabulous? Isn't that fabulous? So that is where the peace of God is, and so that is where we are, and just to know that is absolutely awesome. So, um, okay, so here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Let me take a sip of water because for some reason. Okay, so thank you. Thank you. Blessings to you guys. So, as I was reading through the Course in Miracles today, it was interesting because for the first time, I read it from, I don't want to say that I read it from a different perspective. I was reading, and I was reading one of the, in the lessons, and it was busy telling me about some of the shortcomings in how I see the world. Hey, Melinda. It was telling me that in so many different ways throughout this, it was saying, you look at the world this way, and you see things that way, and you see your brother as, and you perceive attacks here, and you do this, and you do that. And as I was reading that, I was kind of today, I don't know why, maybe I'm a little more sensitive today, I don't know. But usually when I read those statements, I think to myself, no, that's not quite me. And I'm thinking that, okay, this is a required course, so it's not specifically directed at me. But since there's only one of it's here, it really is about me. And so I kept reading and I read again and I read another thing. And it was telling me all these ways in which I think and in which I might have some type of shortcoming in how I see and how I relate to the world. Now, I'm not saying this to be argumentative because I'm not trying to, for me, I am never about trying to convince anybody of anything. That's never what I do. As a rule, I present particular ideas, topics, whatever it is that I'm saying. And I do it for your consideration. It's not to try to cajole. I remember when people used to try to, threaten and make it seem like I was going to hell or that somehow God was going to come after me or out to get me in order for me to get something. And I don't think that the best method to get people to become more spiritual is through fear. I mean, to me, that's one of the worst ways you could possibly do it. So my thing is never about fear. My thing is never about confrontation. My thing isn't even about logic. So as I talk to people, I go out and I present ideas. And I recognize that as we present ideas, it allows for and creates a space for the miracle to occur. And the miracles can be simply a shift in ideas from thinking one way to thinking another way. And as you present those ideas, it's not about me. It's about recognizing that whatever comes through me comes from source. And so if it comes from source, if it comes through me and whoever receives it or perceives that they receive it or wherever it connects with or whatever it is, there is something that is there to happen that is beyond what I am trying to do. So I'm never trying to convince you or tell you anything. So this is just my perspective on what I was reading today, what lit upon my heart today. So I kept reading all these things that kind of told me about, my where I might be not be seeing the whole picture, where I might eh, let me see if I can give you an example. So as you look about, um, it says you hold the past against things, or you are upset and you're not upset for the reasons you think you are, or that that I don't remember something, or I've forgotten something. And I kept reading these things over and over again. And I kept thinking, I'm the last person that tries to withhold information, withhold love. I'm the last person that tries to do all this. So as I was reading that, I was like, kind of like really thinking like, this is not necessarily directed at me. And then I started thinking to myself something that I read in Joseph Campbell's book. Now, I don't know if I'm going to pull this out for you or not. Um, it was very interesting. I have in my office, you don't know whether you can see this junky place or not. I've got books piled up. I got stuff piled up over here. And even as I pulled out this book, I'm sure you heard something fall. It's not the sign of a cluttered mind. It's just how it's just it's not cluttered mind. It is a pack rat. If I could just break it down clean and simple for you, I'm a pack rat. And so I've got all this stuff here that I just refuse to get rid of. I've got books here from college, and they're near and dear to me that I'm not throwing out. And I guess until somebody makes me throw them out, but for the most part, they're right here with me. So Joseph Campbell, I'm trying to flip through this book real quick, because what I have a tendency to do is write in the margins of books. And when I write in the margins of books, I write down ideas and things that I want to come back to. And so as I flip through the book, usually what I could do is see the writing in the margin that says, this is the page that you want. Sometimes the page hides from me, like it seems to be doing right now. But nevertheless, I will flip through back again one more time before I tell you exactly what Joseph Campbell says. Because a lot of times what I do is I go through and I have a good enough grasp on ideas that I can usually share them again. I'll share them and say what it is that I read, and how it affected me. And if I share that, you can go back and at some other point and you can read it. I paraphrase the course too, even though I've got it right here on my desk. It's quicker than, me sitting there and trying to read it to you and all that stuff. I'll paraphrase what I've read to you, because a lot of times I'm just trying to cut right to the core. So I am not seeing this offhand, and I have flipped through this book a second time. And so let me, James Joyce, I do believe it was, he was talking about at the time. He was saying that as he was reading one of his works, I can't think of what the book was, he said he kept referring back to a number. And he was, it's kind of like felt like he was trying to decipher a code. And so the more he kept referring back to, and this repetitive number that kept coming up, he wanted to find out what it was that James Joyce was trying to point to. And I do believe I have the right author too. What he was trying to point to. And so he said that what he finally found was a scripture, that the thing that he was pointing to was a scripture in the Bible that said that we should um, sin big. That's the word I'll use. That we should do the most audacious thing that we could possibly do, so that we could see that God's capacity to forgive us was unlimited, was just simply unlimited, not based on anything, but rather this continual forgiveness of us. So that, of course, triggered in my mind as I was reading through the course and thinking that the course was telling me that I had somehow, that my thinking was based on this world, and therefore I wasn't seeing clearly. And it tells us that as teachers, our job, our responsibility, what we're here to do is this unending forgiveness of one another. But what struck me as odd, and I don't know if this strikes you guys as odd, is that unto us the aim is given to forgive the world, right? But most of us are so busy trying to be perfect, so busy not having anything that we need to have forgiven, that we've lost touch with what it means to be our authentic self. And in losing touch with the authentic self, like the person that you are naturally, that gives into your primal instincts, that may give into your ego, that may be the base of what you are. We are so busy trying to be the perfect, what we think is the perfect Son of God, that we've lost touch with the fact that whatever you are, wherever you are, however you are, you're totally forgiven. To me, to act contrary to what is your naturalness negates that whole idea. I don't know. I'm just saying. So I kept thinking to myself, like, well, if our job is to forgive, we're not forgiving people based on a contortion that they make of themselves, a caricature, some pristine idea that they make of themselves, but rather this basic primal instinct urge. So whether we're talking about a mass murderer, whether we're talking about a liar, a scoundrel, and a cheat, the idea is there's no order of difficulties. The idea is to see it all as the same, meaning that they need do nothing in order for them or for us to achieve or receive forgiveness. I don't know if I'm being clear about this, because it was just like when I thought it, I was like, wow, okay, I don't know. So I don't know if I'm quite getting the idea across that I want to convey. So let me see if I can talk about it for a little while longer, and then maybe it'll just kind of come clear as I talk about it. If we know this thing about the aim being to be forgiven, to just forgiveness across the board, to see us all as the same, to love one and all the same, then it shouldn't matter whether or not they are trying to overcome an ego. It shouldn't matter whether or not they are trying to understand that they are not their bodies. It shouldn't matter whether or not that any of these principles that we have learned here to govern behavior, it shouldn't matter whether any of those are applied. Forgiveness is forgiveness is forgiveness, and it doesn't matter what you do. That forgiveness is our goal. And so, what we're trying to do is move beyond the point of judgment where we no longer see wrong in what others do or see a separation when somebody falls out of alignment with what we thought in the first place. And maybe it is to give up the thoughts about what people should, could, or ought to do. I'm just saying. So, when it says we need do nothing, you don't need to do anything. But as what do you need to be? Maybe we need to be more open and be more open with self so that we're not even judging our own selves for what we're doing, but rather totally accepting and loving of self. And once we get to be totally and loving and accepting of self, then we can love and accept others because they are just who we are, an outpicturing of us. So no matter what you do, if you're forgiven, then that same extension should go to whoever and whomever, wherever, whether they know that they are a perfect child of God or not, right? Hmm. So I don't think that you are talking about practicing no restraint. Well, no, don't go take off your clothes downtown or anything like that. But I mean, but at the same time, even if you did go and take off your clothes downtown, you make it close to my house because you know I want to see. But if you went and took off your clothes downtown, still you're forgiven. You see what I'm saying? So I certainly, but here's the other thing. Joseph Campbell, when he was talking about it, he was like, like stretch it to the max. Like not don't go out and just, take off your shirt downtown. He's like, if you're gonna sin big, do it big so that you'll see that no matter what you do, the love of God is endless. It's endless. So if no matter what it is that you decide that you choose to do, right? No matter what you choose to do, you are forgiven and you never step outside of being a part of the oneness that is God. And to me, as I read all of this stuff, it's telling me, wow, you don't yet know your greatness. You don't yet know how good you are. You don't yet know that all of this stuff is not real. You don't yet know or understand. And so, as it's telling me all this stuff, it's saying to me, and even if you did understand, and even if you were a dirty, rotten wretch anyway, you're still forgiven. So we go around a lot of times, ha ha ha. Sometimes we do stuff that we don't understand why we have the desire to do these things. And the spirit sometimes telling us that we need to give this experience to somebody else. I mean, to even just stretch, even just stretch somebody else's capacity to forgive or to move past something. I know I get a desire to do, oh, yeah, did I tell y'all about what I did the other day? I'm not even going to tell that because it's just totally horrendous. So I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I just thought it. It was a thought that popped up in my mind, and I beat myself up about it too because it was a thought that popped up in my mind. So so if no matter what you do, if the aim is forgiveness, right? Because we're the atonement, the atonement, the at one minute of all of us to get there is the goal. And how do we achieve that? Total forgiveness. In the end, we'll see that forgiveness was unnecessary anyway. but it is a removal of the block to our awareness of love's presence that is what we're doing. And so that means that we must forgive. Now, if all of us were being perfect, if all of us were saying the right things, then there would be nothing to forgive. So that's why it's one of the things is to agree with your brother quickly. That's why we don't tell each other here that we're wrong, because to see us as separate, that would put us in the idea of separation and judgment. But we're staying above that and knowing that regardless of what you do, what you say, how you say it, whether or not you read the course on a daily basis, whether or not you read the course at all, no matter what you do, you're already forgiven. You're already loved. You're already in this stuff. And so what we're doing here is we feel like we're called to be teachers. And so if we're called to be teachers, we're studying this stuff. But whether or not we say it the way the book says it or make up in our minds, however we say it, you're already forgiven. And what counts is what's in your heart to do. What's the aim of what you're trying to do? If the aim is correct, then all of it's good. I mean, why judge any of it? And so you I have fantasies. Did you hear it? Stop. Full stop. Okay. You got fantasies that I find I need to stay on top of forgiving. I love fantasies. I love fantasies. So fantasies are good. There is nothing wrong with having fantasies. As a matter of fact, fantasies are close to fairies. I mean, it kind of calls us to something, something. Oh, you guys, there's so much that I kind of want to share with you because but I talked about that yesterday, and so I can save it for when y'all get to listen to the program as opposed to me telling you about the program. But fantasies are wonderful. Dreams are what are, if it wasn't for a dream, can you imagine where we would be? I mean, we would be a stagnant place, a stagnant planet. I mean, all of us have to have some type of dream or fantasy or something that motivates us and pulls us forward. I mean, without that, we would have no motivation to do anything. It's not all about somebody kicking us in the behind and telling us what we need to do or where we need to go. Um, it's it's magic underwear. It's what drives us, and so it becomes this thing of just understanding that we're here to bring our true selves, not that phony person that tries to make it seem like he doesn't have fantasies or that he's never done anything wrong. That person doesn't really, doesn't have a lot to contribute. It's only the people who really get down and experience something, and then once you've learned and grown from your experiences, once you've delved into that, even this whole idea, there's this thing that a lot of times you see all these ministers that pop up. They come up and they have these stories of when they were what is that? In Amazing Grace, how sweet the song, that saved a wretch like me. So a lot of people had these stories when they were wretches, when they thought they were totally unforgivable. And then they got a clue. Sometimes they had some kind of some type of experience, a shift, a miracle occurred, and then they got on to the right path or onto a different path. And so through those experiences they learned what it means to forgive. They learned about love. They learned God's capacity to embrace whoever and whatever, no matter what they've been through. And so a lot of times we're so busy judging ourselves that we forget that there is nobody up in the sky that's judging us. You know, we forget that no matter what, love is the base of all things. uh, Paul is blushing. That means, Paul, you have magic underwear. And you wear no underwear. Okay, and so we're getting true confessions here, and so I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. But now understand that the underwear, magic or otherwise, are man-made things, and so whether you wear them or not, it, that's not it doesn't rise to the level of doing something wrong. So don't you love when it says that you need do nothing, you need do nothing to receive love, to be loved, to know that you are loved? You need do nothing because you're already forgiven. There's no penance to pay. You don't have to go out and how you say it, flagelling or flagelling, however, people beating themselves up. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You're already forgiven. So you need do nothing on a physical level. And, we talk about miracles being a matter of consciousness, or a shift in consciousness, or a thought. So on a mental level, we can say, it's nice if you align your mind to see the world differently, to see your brother and you as one, to see them and their interests the same as yours, to see only love, to look past all of this stuff. So it's nice if you get mentally and on a conscious level where you need to be. But you know what whoever's saner at the moment, right? Whoever in a particular situation can correct their mind, it says that all minds are corrected. And so if we're about doing this thing of forgiving, then it's let's just be in that energy and know that there is nothing even to be forgiven, because the only thoughts that is being held against us are our own thoughts about what we're doing. And if you're holding, remember in what is that prayer called? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth. What is that? The Lord's Prayer. That's what it is. And it says, forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, or forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And so, in that context, if we're asking that our stuff be forgiven, then there is a necessity. There's the second part of that: forgive us as we forgive. But if you're withholding, or if you're holding, or if you're not forgiving, then that means that how are you going to say, okay, forgive us our debts? Because you know what? So whether you're saying, forgive us our, whatever it is. So forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, or forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. However you want to say it. I looked at that debt as, oh wow, you mean to tell me if I forgive my debts, or my debtors, if I forgive all those folks, then possibly somebody over here might forgive me of my debts. I mean, because I mean, I'm sitting up there thinking like, okay, let me see how much more can I forgive? How much more can I forgive? To have all, give all to all. How much more can I give? And so, sometimes I'm like, this lady, I'm at the store the other day, and this lady is, as people were coming out, she was asking certain people if they could help her out. Can you spare some change? She was asking certain people that. And when she didn't ask me that, I was like kind of thinking to myself as I went to the car, I was like, well, dang, she kind of cheated me out of my moment to give something. And so what did I do? I turned around and I went back and I was like, hey, you didn't ask me. Why didn't you ask me? Did I not look like I had some money, or did I not look like I had a? And I was like, take that. Don't block my blessings, darn it, take it. And so it becomes this thing of, if it says to me, give all to all, let me give you something, darn it. I don't have much to give, but at the same time, I'm trying to get beyond the thought that I don't have much to give, and to give from my fullness. If I give, then I'm given to. And it's not even because, so much as that. It's like, I know what that's like. I know what that feeling is like, to be standing in front of a grocery store and need some money to go in and buy some doggone groceries. I know what it's like to go in there and I want to get the steak, but I end up getting the chicken because that's cheaper. So yeah, let me give you. Yeah, take this here. Darn it, you blocking my blessings by not asking me. Who did she think she was? So yeah, you're so go ahead, take your panties off, man. Forgiveness is to let go of our hope for a different past or a better past. It's about creating a better and free future. Well, and remember though that it talks about this idea that we're so busy thinking about our past that we project into the future and miss the now moment. And so if we're just kind of living in the now, there's nothing to forgive. Right? There's nothing to sit there and think about or to withhold or to, get caught up on. If we just learn how to just stay in the moment, just this moment, this sweet, precious moment, this gift of a moment, just stay right here. And so, yeah, take your panties off. I mean, go ahead. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Just stay right here in the now moment and not think about what happened 2 minutes ago, not think about what happened 30 seconds ago, not think about any of that stuff because it's done and over with. Don't even go back and read the board and all of that stuff. Just stay in the moment. And in the moment, all things are good, all things are perfect, and all things are well. So, it's interesting. I she calling me up and I'm on the air. So it becomes this thing of just trying to be present and recognizing that all we need to do is just be here now, and now what, so what, right? So here's where so I was reading in this, as I was going through this, in the course. I was reading in this last little bit, and it said I'm in the final lesson, and it's actually the final lesson's the introduction. And I was reading, and it says, and to this purpose, let us dedicate our minds, directing all our thoughts to serve the function of salvation. The function of salvation. You know, it's so interesting because so many people have this idea that there is, like this. Oh, so when I said that, I'm going to tell you guys the image that popped up into my head. The image that popped up into my head was the image that we've so often seen of sperm heading towards an egg. I saw them, and with their little tails, the pictures, how they, I don't know if it's an animation that they do, but all these sperm are heading towards this egg. And when they get there, they're all starting to attack the egg and bombard this egg. And, a couple of them may get in, they break through that outer barrier of the egg and to fertilize the egg. But I understand that as soon as one gets through, or one or two gets through, then the egg itself secretes a hormone that kills any other sperm that are in the vicinity. And And so as I was thinking, as I read that, that was the image that came up in my mind. And to this purpose is to dedicate our minds, directing all our thoughts to serve the function of salvation. So, why did that come up for me? So in that, I was like thinking that to myself, I thought, okay, so there, all of us, no matter what, no matter where, all of us, this whole thing is about all of us. It's not about any one of us being, receiving salvation or being saved. It is about the totality, the allness. So no matter who you can think of, no matter where they are in the world, no matter what the situation, no matter what they've done, the thought is that in our minds, we we save them in our minds, knowing that all are the same. There's no order of difficulty in miracles. All looked upon as the same, with the same love, with the same light, with the same acceptance, forgiveness, love, all. And so it becomes this thing of once one or two of us get it, all what is that? Was it critical mass? Is that the term that they used to use? If we could just in our minds just know that we are just totally loved and totally forgiven, then there is no need for this, because ah because it's the job of all of those, all of those little things swimming towards that egg. All of them had the same purpose in mind. All of them had the same desire, the same thing. And so there is a willingness on the part of each and every one of them to bow down and to bow out once the task is accomplished. There's really no competition. The whole thing was all about that fertilization. The whole thing is all about the recognition. Once we get it, it's done. It's a done deal. Let me read the board for a second, and then I'm gonna tell you guys about um, Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyler Tyson, whatever his name is. Okay, so wait a minute. Let me read the board. Let me read the board. So and if you're on Ustream watching me, forgive me, I got to read the board. I'm on Pal Talk as well. So I think if you truly are wholly in the now, you will see directly what to do and not to do. And so is there a what to do and not to do if all is okay, if all is well, if all is perfect, is all right? Okay, so are you posting in Maya's new photo gathering? I'm not posing there. No, I find the standard a bit too much for me to post my photos. Oh, okay, it's no more about art with the computer, really. Really not my thing. Oh, is this nudie pictures, the panty pictures? What? I want to live. Help. Okay. And that would be to join God in thinking. Hmm. Right on. Hold on, everyone. This look on everyone the same. 100th monkey syndrome. I see 100th monkey swimming towards a coconut. And yes, men in panties. I see it all the time. Men in panties, men in thongs. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so back here. So it becomes this thing about us recognizing that there is no competition when the goal for all of us is the same. I mean, what is it if all of us have the exact same goal? How do we then go about competing against one another to achieve the same goal? I mean, the whole idea is ludicrous. So okay, so I told you I was going to talk to you guys a minute about this Neil deGrasse. And you know what? Better yet, I wonder if you guys would be interested in hearing this, because when I looked this up the other day, I was so struck by what he had to say. Okay, so I wonder if you guys would just rather hear it from him, but you won't get to see all of the, his pictures from outer space. But I thought that it was really intriguing and enough to share, enough that I would want to share it with you guys. And now I can't find it. Okay, here it is. Okay, so in my last 10 minutes, I'm going to share this with you guys just because I want to. And you may not understand or the reasoning why I loved it so much, but you will, I think, as you listen to it. So this is a part of a speech, the tail end part of a speech that was done by Neil deGrasse Tyson at a conference back in 2006. And when I was looking up something, it said the greatest sermon ever. So I wanted to listen to it. And it's about 9 minutes long. So I want you to listen to this, and then I'll be back on to close out my show. Okay, so hold on. And hopefully this won't be buffering and slow us down. Let me knock it down to 140 picks so we don't get stuck. So this is called Beyond Belief back in 2006. Neil deGrasse Tyson. And at the end of a lecture, he started talking about perspective.
Now, and I said I'd only be 10 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm taking a little longer, but I got to get this off my chest. So now I'm becoming a scientist. I'm in college majoring in physics. I go to graduate school, get the PhD in astrophysics. It's my life love. I've known this since I was a kid. I didn't accidentally land at the Bronx High School of Science. I knew, but I wanted to become an astrophysicist, not because I chose it. In a way, the universe chose me. That first day in the Hayden Planetarium at age 9, as a kid, and I looked up and the lights dimmed and the stars came out. And I was called by the universe. I had no choice in the matter. I became a student of the universe with the ambition of one day being one of its participants in research on the frontier of cosmic discovery. And that ambition, that inculcation, stayed with me the whole time. To the point where when you become an astrophysicist, when you become a scientist at all, here's what I'm putting back to you. Because what we used to do, and I regret it a little bit, is you would go on pilgrimages to mountaintops, because that's where your telescopes are. And where is the mountain? The mountain is far away from any city, because cities have lights and pollution and other things that interfere with your views. So by construct, the best telescopic observing sites are far removed from civilization, which means it takes at least 4 modes of transportation to get there. The plane, the train, the bus, the all-terrain vehicle. Then you get to the mountaintop. And what do you have to do next? You have to then start going nocturnal. The day is now your night, and the night is your day. And so that's part of the pilgrimage. There's the effort of the travel, and then there's the effort of flipping your schedule and going nocturnal. Then there's the telescope itself, this conduit to the cosmos. It's a physical, it's a tube. It's a conduit. And I sit there and I reflect on it. My specialty was the center of the Milky Way galaxy, 30,000 light years away. And so I have my digital detectors, I've got the telescope, it's dark, it's just me on this mountain and the universe. And I look up and I just think to myself, there are photons that have been traveling for 30,000 years. And I'm sort of snatching them from this journey and planting them into my digital detector. And then I started feeling bad for the photon, and I said, maybe it wanted to continue, but I got in its way. But then I said, no, those are probably happier photons than the one that slammed into the mountainside, that will go unanalyzed and will not contribute to the depth of our understanding of the universe. But so there's not only the fact that I'm on the mountaintop, there's the knowledge and the feeling that I'm reaching out to the universe with these methods and tools of science. And then add to that the sum of 20th century knowledge about the origin of the chemical elements, something the chemist would not be able to answer without the help of the astrophysicist. You can't go to the chemist in your high school chemistry class and say, where did these elements come from? The teacher wouldn't know outside of the domain of science, from within the domain of chemistry. That was informed by astrophysics. We can trace the elements. They were forged in the centers of stars, high mass stars that went unstable at the ends of their lives. They exploded, scattered their enriched contents across the galaxy, sprinkled into gas clouds that then collapsed and formed stars and planets and life. And so these ideas, these cosmic perspectives, this pilgrimage to the cosmos, there are people who say, this makes me feel small because I need to see the immensity of the cosmos. And I say, no, you're not thinking about it the right way. By the way, when we opened our facility, I got a letter from a psychologist from the University of Pennsylvania. He had seen our show, which was a zoom out from Earth, and Earth just shrinks to nothingness as you go to the edge of the universe. And he wrote me a letter that says, I specialize in the psychological effects of, oh, how did he word it? Excuse me. He said, hello, Dr. Tyson, I'm, Johnny Jones. I'm a psychologist specializing in the effects of things that make people feel insignificant. I thought, bummer of a job. Man, is that what you do for a living? And he said, needless to say, your show was the greatest elicitor of feelings of smallness I have ever seen. Will you allow me to conduct a survey on the people who visit your show? And I thought to myself, there's something wrong here, because why does he feel small, but when I look up in the universe, I feel large? Then I realized the problem was his ego was too large to begin with. He came to the problem thinking too highly of who and what he was to begin with, because then everything that happened in the show destabilized his self-image. Whereas I know that the molecules in my body are traceable to phenomena in the cosmos. And it's our 15 pounds of gray matter that figured this out. There's a kinship with the cosmos that resonates deeply with New Age thinking, but I'm not apologetic about that. It's what we find. If whatever we find resonates with whoever, go ahead, take it. But what I want to know is, we're in one of the greatest centers of neurophysiology. I want somebody to put electrodes on my head. And when I reflect on our kinship with the cosmos, when I do the calculation that shows that a 15-ton meteorite that we have in the center of the Rose Center for Earth and Space, it's an iron meteorite. When I do the calculation that shows that if you take all of the iron from the hemoglobin of the people in the tri-state area of New York City, you can recover that much iron out of their blood, and realize that the iron from that meteorite and the iron from your blood has common origin in the core of a star. Tell me what part of my brain is lighting up, because that excites me. That makes me want to grab people in the street and say, have you heard this? That it's not simply, as Carl Sagan said, we are star stuff, but there's a more poetic and I think more accurate way to say it. It's quite literally true that we are stardust. In the highest exalted way one can use that phrase. And so I feel, and I use words. I bask in the majesty of the cosmos. I use words, compose sentences that sound like the sentences I hear out of people who had revelations of Jesus, who go on their pilgrimages to Mecca. There's some commonality of feeling. I know it. Well, I don't know it. I want someone to do that experiment, because the day you do, if the same centers in my brain are excited by these cosmic thoughts as what are going on in the mind of a religious person, that's something to know. That's going to be really interesting finding. Because what that tells me as an educator is, let me offer the universe to people. And they'll start taking it in. And they'll start achieving those feelings that they had before. And I don't so much care whether they abandon previous feelings. I've got an offering that keeps growing, that keeps becoming more majestic. When the Hubble telescope was announced that we were going to cancel, when it was announced that we were going to cancel the Hubble telescope, The greatest outcry to not do that was not the astrophysicists. It wasn't from within NASA. It was the public. It was all over the op-ed pages and the talk shows. The public took ownership of the Hubble Space Telescope because the universe was coming into their bedroom, into the living room, onto their computer. They were a participant on the frontier of discovery. And as far as I can tell, if you let them know that it's not something that we're in the universe, but in fact, given the chemistry of it all and the nuclear physics of it all, not only are we in the universe is in us. And I don't know any deeper spiritual feeling than what that brings upon me. I just wanted to leave you with those thoughts. Thank you.
Wow. I hope you guys love that as much as I did. I just thought that that was just awesome. Yes, you are the star stuff. You are stardust. Let me leave you with this out of this final lesson from the Course in Miracles. It says, "It is our function to remember him on earth. It is given us that we be his own completion in reality. So let us not forget our goal is shared, for it is that remembrance which contains the memory of God and points the way to him and to the heaven of his peace. And we shall not forgive, and shall we not forgive our brother who can offer this to us? He, our brother now, he is the way, the truth, and life that shows the way to us. In him resides salvation, offered us through our forgiveness and unto him." You guys, thank you for being with me. My time is up. Sandra, sandrasaidit.com, as you know. Follow me on Twitter at SanBishop, SanBishop, and on Facebook, Sandra D. Bishop, or you can just say facebook.com/Sandra Thrives. Thank you, babe. I love you guys all, and I'll see you here on Wednesday. Ciao.